Hello, everyone. I wanted to take a few minutes today to speak from my heart to the Daystar family and friends.
Joni Lamb was brought to tears as she announced her resignation, and it was a shocking moment that took place on live television. She disclosed the shocking reasons that led to her decision to step down, and her emotions were running high as she talked about them. At what point did she reach the point where she broke? While we uncover the intense struggles that led up to this dramatic moment, we ask that you remain with us. The 7-year cover-up of the affair. In light of the most recent allegations that have been made against Daystar Television Network, there has been a resurgence of scrutiny, and it has brought up some troubling questions regarding the history of the Christian broadcasting empire. There may be a pattern of alleged cover-ups, but is it possible? As was previously reported by EEW Magazine Online, Jonathan and Susie Lamb have made allegations that Daystar president Joni Lamb and her late husband, Marcus Lamb, hid the fact that their granddaughter had been sexually abused by a male member of the Lamb family. In the eyes of those who have been following Daystar for a considerable amount of time, these allegations are eerily similar to a scandal that rocked the Christian broadcasting empire more than 10 years ago. The record of a major scandal that occurred in 2010 is still well documented, despite the fact that Marcus Lamb is no longer present to provide his opinion on the allegations that are currently being made. When Marcus Lamb was the head of Daystar at the time, he admitted to having an affair with a Daystar employee that lasted for 7 years. It was during the course of a fraud lawsuit that Jeanette Hawkins, who had previously served as Daystar's marketing director, brought to light the revelation. As a result of Lamb's public opposition to vaccines, he became the most prominent figure in the controversy. Lamb passed away in 2021 from complications related to COVID-19 and pre-existing heart conditions. In order to provide evidence, Hawkins presented damning emails, which revealed significant cracks in the carefully constructed public image of the Christian media empire that was worth multiple millions of dollars. According to the allegations, these emails contained lewd statements as well as evidence that had been used to finance trysts using ministry funds. According to the lawsuit filed by Hawkins, one email allegedly revealed that Marcus Lamb expressed his desire to make his mistress the next Mrs. Marcus Lamb. This revelation is perhaps the most shocking of all. As a response, Marcus asserted that those who had blown the whistle were attempting to coerce the network into paying them $7.5 million in order to conceal the affair. Despite this, the police did not discover any evidence of criminal extortion. A number of individuals have hypothesized that Marcus Lamb became a more empathetic figure as a result of his assertion that he was the target of an attempt at extortion. This would shift the focus away from his admitted infidelity and onto the alleged actions of his accusers. Joni Lamb characterized her husband's affair as an emotional relationship that eventually developed into an improper relationship, which means sexual, in a public statement that was broadcast on television in the year 2010. Marcus and Joni Lamb were compelled to shed light on unethical dealings that took place behind the scenes as a result of the scandal, which became a significant embarrassment for Daystar, which is one of the most popular networks among evangelical Christians. During a live show that lasted for 1 hour, Marcus Lamb made the assertion that those individuals are attempting to exploit our suffering for their own benefit. He was accompanied by his wife and supporters who surrounded him. We are not going to take money from God in order to stop ourselves from being embarrassed. Hawkins, the person who filed the complaint, asserted that the aftermath of the affair and the subsequent cover-up caused her to experience severe emotional trauma, which ultimately resulted in her resigning from her position and spending time in a mental institution. In addition, she claimed in her lawsuit that the Lambs publicized themselves as victims of extortion, which she claimed was a form of defamation against her. During this turbulent period, the Lambs sought to address their public image by appearing on Dr. Phil, where they discussed their efforts to repair their relationship. This was one of the additional steps that they took to address their public image. During the course of the episode, Dr. Phil McGraw warned against making light of the affair or downplaying its significance by placing blame on the devil. Over the course of several months, the legal conflict became more complicated. Former employees of Daystar filed lawsuits against the company in federal and Dallas courts, while Daystar filed a countersuit in Tarrant County. In the end, both parties decided to quit their lawsuits, which resulted in the matter being resolved outside of court without any financial settlements being exchanged. In their statement, the employee's attorney stated that the decision to withdraw was influenced by a desire to honor New Testament teachings that prohibit Christians from suing one another in secular courts rather than in secular courts. Do we find ourselves reliving the past? In the present day, the reverberations of scandals that occurred in the past are once again audible. The past is repeating itself? After raising concerns about their daughter's alleged abuse and voicing religious objections to Joni Lamb's recent marriage to Doug Weiss, a divorcee who married Joni less than 2 years after Marcus Lamb's death, Jonathan and Susie Lamb alleged that they were targeted, manipulated, tracked, and fired. This is according to the report that was compiled by Roy's. Jonathan Lamb and Susie Lamb claim that their reasons are being misrepresented in an effort to save Daystar's reputation and to undermine their credibility. Jonathan Lamb asserts that his termination from his position as vice president, which he was terminated from on November 16th, was directly related to his efforts to seek answers about the alleged abuse and to navigate the complex dynamics of the family following Joni's remarriage. Jonathan, on the other hand, is accused of engaging in a smear campaign that was fueled by disappointment over not being named the network's future president after Marcus Lamb's passing. Daystar contests these claims and accuses Jonathan of engaging in such a campaign. Jonathan's termination was officially justified by the network, which cited a 15-month review of his performance and an alleged failure to meet improvement plans as the official reason for the termination. More than just Jonathan is involved in the controversy. It has been reported that his wife, Susie Lamb, as well as her parents, who are also employed by Daystar, have been terminated from their positions. In addition to adding fuel to the fire, Roy's report obtained expense reports that suggested Joni Lamb charged approximately $100,000 to her Daystar credit card for her honeymoon in Los Cabos, Mexico, in 2023. Doug Weiss was his partner during this trip. In spite of the fact that Joni has publicly denied using ministry funds for the trip, the documents raise new concerns regarding the network's accountability regarding its financial matters. In a statement that was published on Daystar, Joni Lamb asserted that not a single penny of Daystar's funds was used for an extravagant honeymoon. Jonathan Lamb reportedly stated that when he objected to the honeymoon charges during a Daystar board meeting in August 2023, board member Tom Callender decided to give Joni the $100,000 zero for the honeymoon. Julie Royce reported that Jonathan Lamb made this statement. An additional point that Jonathan brought up was the possibility that Joni had already reimbursed the ministry for the costs. In a post on X, Joni confirmed that she had paid off the balance that was owed to Daystar and explained that she had paid for the purchase with the points that she had earned on her corporate credit card. In addition, she mentioned that Daystar's financial records are audited on an annual basis by an accounting firm that is independent of the company. A number of individuals, on the other hand, continue to question whether or not such a trip ought to have been considered an expense for the ministry. The alleged intimidation tactics were brought to light by Jonathan and Susie Lamb. Jonathan Lamb stated that he felt a nudge in his spirit to check the security feeds at Daystar TV on 7th November 2023. They were broadcast on Daystar TV. Lamb was able to access all of the cameras that were located on Daystar's property because he was the vice president of the worldwide Christian television network. He witnessed Shannon Kelly, the head of security at Daystar, opening the trunk of Jonathan's company car and reaching around inside. This was captured on one of the feeds. Jonathan's relationship with his mother, Daystar TV president Joni Lamb, had become contentious at the time, and as a result, he immediately suspected that Kelly had placed a tracker in his vehicle. During the nearly 30 years that Daystar had been in business, that was the very first time that the ministry had installed a tracker in a company vehicle. However, beginning in July 2023, when Jonathan and his wife Susie refused to read a viewer comment that praised Joni's marriage to Doug Weiss, the couple became targets of Joni's bullying, intimidation, and spying, according to the individuals who claim to have witnessed the behavior. When Jonathan discovered the tracker, he stated that Joni's assistant had called him and claimed that Daystar had installed trackers in all of the company's vehicles shortly after the passing of Jonathan's father, Marcus Lamb, who was a co-founder of Daystar. This occurred in November of 2021. On the other hand, the expense report that Jonathan shared with Shannon Kelly reveals that trackers were purchased in October 2023, which is almost 2 years after the initial purchase. There was a demand made by Daystar on November 16, 2023, for Jonathan to sign a non-disclosure agreement, or else he would be removed from his position as a Daystar executive and board member. Following a period of several months, Daystar demoted Jonathan and reduced his salary by 40%. At that time, at 5:38 o'clock in the evening on September 6, 2024, Jonathan and Susie became aware that they were being followed by a private investigator. A video was released by the couple, which showed a purple car following them as they drove with their children through the streets of the neighborhood. A video was also provided by Jonathan, which showed him confronting the individual while driving the purple car at 6:27 p.m. on September 9, 2024. The man responds to Jonathan's question about his identity by stating that he is an investigator in the video. Additionally, the man claims that he is unable to reveal who hired him. A private investigator named Jamison Bradley Parker is the owner of the license plate that is displayed on the vehicle. The media attempted to contact Daystar on 2 separate occasions, specifically inquiring as to whether or not Joni or the ministry had hired Parker, but Daystar did not respond. Susie and Jonathan have stated that they are unable to conceive of anyone else who would hire an investigator to follow them around. On the other hand, they claim that Daystar's heavy-handed tactics have only served to strengthen the couple's resolve. According to Jonathan, the event that occurred with Tracker has demonstrated to him that God is assisting him and Susie in exposing Daystar. During the course of the investigation, Jonathan discovers the truth. Jonathan and Susie were shocked by the news that they received 2 days after the board meeting that demanded that Jonathan sign a non-disclosure agreement, NDA. This led to a further rift within the family. The couple was informed by Denise Boggs on November 18, 2023, that an earlier investigation had not cleared a family member whom they suspected of abusing their daughter. Marcus Lamb, Jonathan's late father, had informed him that the investigation had not cleared the family member. Within the month of August 2021, a close friend of the Lambs brought in a forensic counselor to conduct the investigation. However, Marcus and Joni terminated the investigation before the counselor could conduct an appropriate interview with the individual who was suspected of being a member of the family, according to Boggs. The news that Jonathan's own father and mother had lied to him was devastating, according to Jonathan, and from that point on, Jonathan and Susie stated that their fight with Daystar became more about ensuring that their daughter received justice than it was about preserving their jobs. Following this, the couple took their daughter to a counselor, who then reported the alleged abuse to Child Protective Services. This was previously reported. CPS then made contact with the police, who reopened their investigation into the alleged abuse that had occurred. According to Jonathan, Daystar informed Tanuja Sagar, Susie's mother, on November 30, 2023, that the ministry had terminated her position, and the termination took effect immediately. Just a few weeks before Christmas, Daystar reduced the salary of Susie's father, Jai Sagar, by $20,000 by reassigning him to the position of purchasing assistant. He was terminated from his new position in the middle of April. On January 30, 2024, Daystar informing Susie that her previous full-time salary would be reduced to a retainer of $1,000 per month was the notification that she received. Jonathan was informed by Torres on April 4th that he had been removed from the board of directors and demoted to the position of manager. Additionally, his salary was reduced from $250,000 to $150,000. Jonathan was also placed on a performance improvement plan by Daystar, and all of his benefits, including his company car, were taken away from him. During a significant portion of the summer, the couple and their children left Texas because they had the impression that they were not safe in their own home. Following their return to their home in late August, Jonathan and Susie made the decision to conduct an interview with a media outlet. They provided a significant amount of documentation and hours of audio regarding Daystar. On the other hand, the media did not contact Joni for a comment regarding the allegations that were made against her until Friday, November 15th. In the morning of the following day, Shannon Kelly arrived at the residence of Jonathan and Susie while wearing a bulletproof vest and carrying a small firearm. Jonathan is under the impression that the Daystar security chief was the one who is responsible for placing a tracker in there. This time, however, Kelly was present to deliver a letter to Jonathan informing him that he had been terminated from his position at Daystar and that he would no longer have access to his email or the company's property and facilities. Jonathan stated that Daystar had never fired someone on a Saturday, despite the fact that the deadline for him to respond to the performance improvement plan that Daystar had provided him was the 15th of November. In the event that the decision to terminate was made on a Friday, he stated that the ministry would wait until at least Monday to communicate the news to the employees. Jonathan stated that he believes the intention was to scare and intimidate the couple, just like the other tactics that Daystar is said to have used against them. However, he stated that he is not going to back down, and Susie is not going to back down either. Joni Lamb's legal team participation is involved. Joni Lamb, the co-founder of Daystar Television, has vehemently denied the allegations following recent allegations regarding a cover-up of sexual abuse. She has dismissed the allegations as completely false and vehemently denied that they are true. In the most recent episode of Joni Table Talk, Lamb voiced her opposition to the allegations, claiming that the individuals who were responsible for them were fabricating stories in order to cause harm to her family. In particular, Lamb made reference to the investigative series that was conducted by journalist Julie Roys, and that detailed the allegations to the audience. Lamb stated that this is a narrative that was written by a low-level blogger who knows nothing, has never heard the other side of the story, and is doing nothing but trying to destroy my family. This statement reflects Lamb's frustration with the public attention and scrutiny that has surrounded the controversy. The legal team representing Daystar, which is led by attorney Michael D. Anderson from the law firm Kelly Hart, has come back with a resounding response to the allegations. In a letter that Anderson sent to Julie Roys, he demanded that she either retract or correct her reports, or else she would be subject to the possibility of legal action. He stated that the stories were not true and that they had no basis in reality or fact. He described them as being false. In addition, Anderson asserted that Jonathan and Susie Lamb, two key figures involved in the allegations, were responsible for orchestrating a campaign of smears against Daystar and its leadership. In his assertion, he stated that the reports that were published by the Roys report were fabricated, and that there was no substantial evidence to back up the serious allegations that were being made. On the other hand, the Roys report has not abated, and has instead made the situation even more tense by releasing a number of recordings that were taken during meetings that were held behind closed doors. The fact that these recordings appear to provide evidence in support of some of the assertions made by Jonathan and Susie Lamb raises additional concerns regarding the internal operations of Daystar business. It is alleged that individuals who are close to Daystar can be heard in the recordings discussing sensitive issues and providing evidence that supports the allegations made by the Lamb. The public scrutiny of the policies and procedures of the network has reached a boiling point as a result of this, which has only added fuel to the fire. There are unsettling parallels that have been drawn between this situation and a previous controversy that involved Daystar and dates back to the year 2010. During that time period, allegations of using intimidation strategies to silence critics and whistleblowers were discussed extensively in the media. The involvement of the Lamb family in these past events was shrouded in mystery, and there were reports that suggested that attempts were made to conceal information that could have caused damage to the network's reputation. Moving forward in time to the present day, it appears that the allegations that have been made most recently are resonating with the echoes of the year 2010. The accusations of cover-ups, intimidation, and a culture of silence seem eerily familiar to those that were made more than a decade ago, but are still being made today. In the midst of these developments, the personal struggles of the Lamb family have once again attracted the attention of the public. Due to the fact that Joni Lamb and her legal team are working hard to clear their names, a situation that was once considered a private family matter has now been brought into the public eye. A volatile situation is created as a result of the contrast between the vehement public denials and the mounting evidence presented by Roy's report. Both sides are digging in their heels and refusing to back down from their positions. The question that remains as the conflict continues to develop is whether or not the truth that lies behind these allegations will ever be revealed in its entirety, or whether it will continue to be obscured by the shadows of legal battles and media manipulation. One thing that is abundantly clear, however, is that the controversy that has surrounded Daystar and the Lamb family is not even close to being resolved, and the public's interest in the outcome is only growing stronger. Joni Lamb, the co-founder of Daystar Television, has reportedly made the difficult decision to resign from her position. Recently, rumors have circulated that Joni Lamb has made this decision. The truth about Joni Lamb's resignation. The speculations were finally confirmed when Joni herself made an appearance on live television to address the growing difficulties that had led to her decision to step down from her political position. Joni spoke about the immense pressure she had been under, both personally and professionally, and how the ongoing controversy surrounding her family and network had ultimately led her to make this decision. Her announcement was heartfelt and emotional, and she spoke about how she had made this decision. During the course of her live television appearance, Joni became visibly emotional as she reflected on the journey that she and her late husband, Marcus Lamb, had taken in order to construct Daystar from the ground up. She spoke about how the network had been a labor of love for both of them. describing the long hours, sacrifices, and challenges they had to face in order to create a platform that could share the Christian faith with an audience from all over the world. Joni reflected with tears in her eyes on Marcus's unflinching commitment to their mission and how his vision had propelled Daystar into becoming one of the largest Christian networks in the world. Jones's vision had been the driving force behind Daystar's success. "I never imagined that we would face such turmoil in our personal lives and in the network that we built together," Joni said, her voice cracking with emotion. "Marcus and I dreamed of spreading God's message to millions, and we poured everything into that dream. But the weight of the past few months has been overwhelming, and I can't ignore the toll it's taking on my family and our legacy." In light of the gravity of the situation, Joni's words carried a significant amount of emotional weight. Both Joni personally and Daystar as a whole had been put under a great deal of stress as a result of the controversy that surrounded the network. This controversy included allegations of a cover-up of sexual abuse, as well as claims of intimidation tactics. She spoke about how she had tried to balance her responsibilities as a mother and a leader in the network, and she mentioned that the intense public scrutiny and the legal battles had taken a toll on her mental and emotional well-being. She also mentioned that she had been in a difficult situation. It was obvious that the pressure had reached a point where she could no longer withstand it, which ultimately led to her decision to withdraw from the situation. In addition, Joni took advantage of the opportunity to express her gratitude to the devoted viewers and supporters who had supported both her and the network throughout these difficult occasions. In spite of the fact that she expressed her appreciation for the faith and encouragement that they had shown, she also admitted that she required some time to heal and put the health and happiness of her family first. "The last thing I ever wanted to do was disappoint our viewers or let anyone down, but sometimes we all have to step back and take care of ourselves," she said. As Joni discussed her resignation, she emphasized that it was not a decision she made lightly. She acknowledged the impact it would have on Daystar, but said she was confident that the network's mission would continue, even in her absence. As she wiped away her tears, she said, "Marcus and I have always believed in the power of faith, and I am aware that God has a plan for Daystar, even if it is not with me at the helm." People are in a state of shock after hearing the news of Joni Lamb's emotional resignation on live television. In the midst of all the controversy, what are your thoughts on her decision to step down from her position? In the comments section below, please share your thoughts.